Hello, good people. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday. Okay, so let's talk about it. So, you guys know it's a lot going on regarding the Epstein files. And yesterday there was a press conference held about the Epstein files, about the victims. Some of the Republicans, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tommy Masses, they've had conversations. And now they have this legislation. It's the Epstein Files Transparency Act that they are pushing. And some of the victims spoke, and the victims are basically saying they're compiling their own list. Because remember, the Trump administration is refusing to disclose the entire, if there is a list, because there's so much speculation going back and forth. We know that there are fouls. We know that there's a lot of things that they are not releasing to the public, but nobody has concrete come out and say that there's an actual list. However, we know that the administration is not releasing everything, not full disclosure, not full transparency, and a lot of people are getting upset about it. People are not willing to drop it. It's, of course, it's like a really big thing. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, to her credit, Marjorie Taylor Greene is on the side of release the files, allow the victims to speak. We must advocate, be a proponent for the victims. And you guys know she's a huge MAGA person. She's a huge Trump supporter. And so some people are looking at it as if like she's being brave. She's, coming out saying that we need transparency. We need to support the victims. We need to release the documentation and all of those things. But what she is doing is blaming everyone but Donald Trump, because of course she wants to stay in favor with MAGA. MAGA is a force. Unfortunately, sometimes they are a force, and Marjorie Taylor Greene wants MAGA on her side. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of what she said during her speech, and then I want to kind of tie that into the back and forth that she had with Don Lemon, because apparently Don Lemon was trying to interview her, trying to get access to her so that he can speak to her, to get her thoughts, and basically hold her feet to the fire, because Marjorie Taylor Greene is now saying that, she support the victims, she support full transparency, she support all of this documentation being kind of like, released. But she's taken different tunes in the past in regards to her support for Donald Trump. So I'm going to show you Marjorie Taylor Greene's, her response, basically her, when she did like a press conference, her words. I want to show you that. And then I also want to show you what transpired with Don Lemon. And then I'll give you my commentary on the other side. So take a look at this.
Can you imagine how terrifying it would be to name names like that? These are some of the richest, most powerful people in the world that could sue these women into poverty and homelessness. Yeah, it's a scary thing to name names, but I will tell you, I'm not afraid to name names. And so if they want to give me a list, I will walk in that Capitol on the House floor and I'll say every damn name that abused these women. I can do that for them. And I'd be proud to do it.
Oh my God. What a day. The Marjorie Taylor Greene of it all. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene does not like me. In fact, I think it's fair to say that she hates me. She made that very clear this morning in our nation's capital when I tried to ask her about her push to get Republicans to support the full release of the Epstein files. Okay. And she made it even clearer tonight when she tweeted that I think she said, quote, that I was disgusting misogynist. And then she connected me to a domestic terrorist leader. All of that is blatantly false. She has no idea what she's talking about. But here's what you may not expect, okay? Is that I'm actually very proud of what Marjorie Taylor Greene did today. Yep. Proud of what she did today. I know what you're thinking. She's built her career on conspiracy theories, bigotry, bullying, calling people names, and blind loyalty to Donald Trump. And yes, she went after me personally today. But some things are bigger than the egos of journalists and politicians. Because today, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she stood up for survivors of Jeffrey Epstein. She stood against silence, and she even stood up to Donald Trump. I had no illusions about her. I'm not rewriting her history. I'm not naive to all of this. I'm not overlooking the school shooting survivors that she harassed or talked about, her talk about Jewish space lasers. But if I call her out when she's wrong, and I do, then I have to tell the truth, I believe, as a journalist and a person who has integrity, that I have to, tell the truth when she's right. Okay. So hear me very clearly here. You may hate me, Marjorie Taylor Greene, but today I'm proud of what you did, and that's standing up for us survivors. Okay. Because I am a survivor myself. So that's it. All I wanted was an interview. Answer questions, stick to the topic, no personal insults or attacks. But you went there. But I have to say, I'm proud of you for standing up for us survivors.
Okay, so the girls are fighting. Okay, so let me say this. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene has been pretty reprehensible for, her time that she's been in political life. She has been very confrontational, combative, disrespectful. She does not seem, it seemed like she's a very antagonistic person, seems like someone who is very difficult to get along with. We remember her having her fallout with Jasmine Crockett, when Jasmine Crockett coined the term bad built butch body and all of those things. So Marjorie Taylor Greene has been a very aggressive, antagonistic character in the political field. However, what I will say regarding her saying that she wants the files to be released, she wants full transparency, I'm on board with that. I appreciate that because it seems like she's doing the right thing. Is she doing it for the right reasons? I'm not exactly sure. And I wouldn't know that until those things kind of play out. But I know she's doing the right thing. Supporting the Epstein victims, saying that there needs to be full transparency, saying that these documents need to be released to the public, saying that, we need all disclosures and all of those things. That is the right thing to do. To be an advocate, a proponent, a supporter of the victims. And she's doing that. And I can appreciate that. However, we are not going to forget all of the other things that Marjorie Taylor Greene has done. Also, another thing that I want to make sure that we're just being conscious of, she's still blaming everybody but not Donald Trump. And remember, there's a lot of speculation that Donald Trump are in these files. If there are files, that Donald Trump is one of the people that are in these files. So the fact that she does this song and dance where she blames everybody else except Donald Trump, she wants to hold everybody else accountable except Donald Trump, that is still a very disingenuous take that she has. So we have to be conscious of that. We have to be aware of the game that she's playing. Now, two things can happen. You can advocate and support righteousness because saying that the files need to be disclosed, saying that there needs to be full transparency, supporting the victims is a great thing. Why she's doing it is a different thing. It's a different argument. And I think that's kind of what Don Lemon wanted to get to. He wanted to have a conversation with her and be able to kind of get her perspectives and be able to push back. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene went on to say that he was trying to storm her office and, to use the terminology to kind of be remnants of storming the Capitol and all of those things. And so I just wanted to give you both takes. Regarding Don Lemon is no longer working at CNN, so Don Lemon is unleashed. He's able to hold truth to power. He's on the street. He's doing these kind of street interviews where he's talking to, everyday people, everyday Americans, and he's also talking to politicians. And so for me, I think that was his angle. It was okay, Marjorie Taylor Greene, let's have the conversation. You are supporting the victims. You do want full transparency, but what about Donald Trump? What about these other things? And she didn't want to be held accountable. So she said he tried to storm her office and he's a vicious person and it was projection. Everything that she said about him was pretty much who she is. So it's really, Marjorie Taylor Greene, you are considering somebody antagonistic and aggressive and disrespectful and all of those things. You are those things. He wanted to have a conversation with you and kind of hold your feet to the fire, and you didn't want that because even in her language, she said about Thomas Massey, because the administration has basically come out and said anybody who signs on to this Epstein Transparency Act, they're going to look at it as like it's being aggressive towards the administration. And Marjorie Taylor Greene basically said in her comments, she was being interviewed, and she basically said, well, the Republicans hate Thomas Massey more than they hate Democrats, or something to that effect. But it's like, why do you hate anyone? Especially regarding this issue. This issue is about righteousness. This issue is about the victims having a voice and the victims telling their story and full transparency. It shouldn't be left right. It should just right and wrong. So the fact that that's still her language, where she almost feels that it's okay to hate Democrats, remember that division is still there. So Marjorie Taylor Greene may be on this thing where she's trying to rebrand herself, where she's trying to market herself differently, but who she is at her core is always going to spill out. Because even when she said that, I'm like, so you're basically saying that people have valid reasons to hate Democrats. And politics is supposed to be just supposed to be about different ideologies, different ways that different ideologies about how the government should work, and different ways to get things done. But what are you talking about hate? Why are you saying hate? And I think that furthers the divisions. I think that's who she is how she's wired. She literally don't know any other way to be, because in your attempt to rebrand yourself or remarket yourself or act like you're all about women and you're supporting women, you're still using that like divisive rhetoric. And so I wanted to kind of show you guys the back and forth. Don Lemon was basically saying that apparently Marjorie Taylor Greene hates him, and she's saying like all these negative things about him antagonizing her or disrespecting her or being aggressive towards her. And I feel like Don just wanted to hold her feet to the fire, because she has been the biggest Trump supporter, the biggest MAGA person, and her tune is changing a little bit. And I give her some credit, because like I said, at least she's being consistent, and at least she seems like she's doing right regarding the Epstein files. Regarding this subject, it seems like she's doing the right thing. But she has also done a lot of nefarious things in the past. So when someone wants to have a conversation with you, it's like, okay, we can give you credit regarding this, but we still want to hold your feet to the fire, hold you accountable, and have conversations with you regarding things that you've done in the past. And she didn't want that. So she went after Don Lemon. They had their little back and forth. I don't know what's going to come of it, but we're going to be watching. And if there's any new developments or anything, I'll make sure to keep you guys updated. And that's pretty much it for the most part. The Epstein files, it seems as if there are, because the administration, I guess, released some things, but it's not like full transparency, like full disclosures. And so everybody is pushing for everything to be released and for the public to have access and visibility to everything. And for whatever reason, the Trump administration don't seem to want to do that. And that makes you wonder. So, like, comment, and subscribe, and have a phenomenal Thursday. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.